Serious concerns over federal influence on education as millions of American kids get ready to go back to school. Some of them are already there. 45 states across the country have adopted new standards known as Common Core. The curriculum dictates the math and reading skills that students should have as they move from kindergarten through high school. The federal government itself did not actually create the standards, but they're pushing them. Now critics are questioning whether this amounts to inappropriate government overreach. Illinois Republican Congressman Randy Hultgren is one of the skeptics at this point. Congressman, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Shannon. Good to be with you.
And I know that you're hosting a forum, so parents, teachers, people can get together and talk about this. But one of the main concerns that we hear again and again from people about Common Core is that whether it was intended to or not, it essentially seems to be the federalization of government, of education that should be handled locally by teachers, administrators, and parents.
Well, it's a real concern of mine as well, and it's a big reason why we're having the summit tonight. To me, this is a fact-finding mission to understand this. It's impacting our students and families. A lot of questions out there. I heard questions from principals, from teachers, from families, and so we decided it was important to have this summit to get these questions answered. As you said, this started out as a state initiative, different states coming together, but it's always fearful for me when the federal government starts getting involved, and we've seen more recently federal government getting involved. I believe in local control and parent-driven education, and my fear is if the federal government comes in and starts driving standards or curriculum, I've got a real problem with that.
I've got a question. I don't know if you know the answer, but with so many states signing on, I've wondered, is there funding tied to this? Are there initiatives, incentives for them, to financial incentives?
Well, we're trying to get answers to that as well. There was a real push a few years ago. I was in the state legislature here in Illinois. It never passed through our legislature, but was approved by the State Board of Education. And I think it was almost this pressure. It sounded like a good idea, really no understanding fully of what it was going to be. But now my fear is there federal dollars tied to it or even federal waivers tied to it? So in other words, putting pressure on local school boards, local schools to have to teach a certain way or a certain curriculum or certain ideas if they want to be able to have waivers or potentially access to federal money. We hope to have more answers to that from the summit tonight.
There's a big movement in Maine where they actually did adopt Common Core, and there are folks who are now organizing and getting together, trying to get, I think it's around 60,000 signatures for a petition so they can put this on the ballot, because they say they don't like what they've seen so far. They think it's going to bankrupt, the critics do, think it's going to bankrupt their state education fund. They think it's bad. It takes away local control and takes away any voice that parents would have in this process. They're getting organized there. The governor in Georgia has asked for a review there as well. And I read an interesting piece by a teacher who has been, he's got advanced degrees in math. He's been a teacher for 20 years, has real concerns about the way that math is being taught, the thought process, getting away from 2 + 2 = 4, that kind of thing. In his estimation, there are flaws with the way this is being done. And what he said was, I believe that we're adopting this because of the international approval of that kind of approach. And he says there's a desire on the left to make us more like other nations by adopting this curriculum. What do you say?
Well, I'm concerned about that as well. I went and spoke with some friends over in Indiana, met with Governor Pence. I respect Indiana, and they just have pushed the pause button on this in their own state of saying, we're not sure about this yet. We have some more questions. And I think it would be important for other states to look at that as well. I hope Illinois will consider that if we're not ready to do this, to hold off. Most importantly, to make sure we're doing everything to teach kids. What I want to make sure our education system is focused on not catering to adults, but making sure our kids are learning. And whatever these standards are, make sure that it's focused on parent decisions, encouraging competition and growth, and making sure that the federal government isn't getting involved in micromanagement of our education systems.
Well, we're hoping that parents and teachers, administrators, and you as well, get much needed, very important information from your get-together. And please let us know as well. Congressman, thank you.
We will. Thanks so much, Shannon. Great to be with you.